Hang on, bub. Mm-hmm. No, they bought it like this. Oh, did I switch over to the main view? Oops. Hello, everybody. Sorry, I wasn't actually talking. I am actually waiting on Max. He's running a little late, and well, I guess we're live now. So here we are. Um, I hope everyone's doing well. I hope Max gets here soon. If not, I will just start talking about stuff, and I'll try to keep an eye on the chat so y'all aren't just listening to me ramble on about bullshit because you know I can do that shit. So we'll wait a couple minutes. That's before I really dive into shit here. Make sure my sound Max gets here. It's funny too, because like I actually took extra time beforehand, and I was like, all right, let me make sure the resolution's good. Let me do an audio test. Let me do this. Let me do that. Let me do that. Let me do this. Everything locked into place. We're good, man. And Mr. Max, that's okay. So let's see. Where is this man? Oh, Max. That's okay. Like I said, he'll show up any second now. I've been get Cybersmith on the air. So right now for Cybersmith, it is 3:30 in the morning. So ideally he is asleep because that's tough. That's tough to be awake and do a podcast, which he is a different kind of human. So he's done it. Obviously he can do it, but I'm not waking that boy up. Let that be sleep. He needs his sleep. Oh man. Well, guys, this is episode. What episode is this? 219? 219. True Crime Streets of Salt Lake City. Now, the reason I picked this title is statistically racist Max. Where are you at? He is statistically not late, usually. Statistically, he's on time. I'm the one who's usually running behind, so it's okay. This is one of those days. But Max had actually asked me about something that had happened locally. So there's like a two-part issue here. First, there was this incident where this individual went to a gas station, I believe, of the Maverick chain, which is a fairly popular and nice gas station chain in Utah. I think they're also in Idaho. They're in Nevada. They're in New Mexico. They're like all over the Southwest. They're great. I love. They actually have like pretty good like food in the gas station that they make. Which you're like, oh, you eat gas station food? I'm like, yeah. They have good burritos, like other things. They got good deals on like just snacks and like drinks, beverages from the apothecary, if you will. Chat. Something in Chinese, MN, dot, 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 dot. Well, this is an American podcast. We speak American here, so unfortunately I can't help you with your moon runes. I don't speak them. Um, so anyway, this guy goes to a Maverick gas station. He wants to buy beer. And being late is a brown person trait. I will not stand for this cultural proof. I will let him know as soon as he gets here. So goes to Maverick, wants to buy beer. For some reason, doesn't have an ID, which as an adult, like I'm torn on this as an anarchist because on the one hand, I'm just like, well, you shouldn't have to fucking show ID to buy beer. Like it's bullshit. But the other hand, it's like these are the rules of the society in which you live at the moment, and you have to deal with this. And this isn't new, and it's Utah too. So like, if you're a drinker, like Utah is not the state for you. But he went to Mavericks to buy beer and got denied because he didn't have an ID. So he apparently gets super pissed and leaves and drives around the gas station for a few minutes and comes back and hops out of his truck or car or whatever with a shotgun. And this was like a week after the shooting at like the In-N-Out up in Idaho, which is maybe like 2 hours from me, 3 hours from me, if even that. And as soon as this dude gets out with a shotgun and he looks like he's going towards the front door, two people in the parking lot who were concealed carrying just went, nope, and drew and just shot him, and he died. Dude never got a shot off. It was a justified shoot. They all went on with their days. Both individuals who engaged him went home to dinner that night. Like, it's exactly how it's supposed to be. I just set something on my keyboard by mistake and thought, screw it, send the message. Is it Chinese on your end? Yeah, there's the very first character in what you said is like, it looks like a Chinese character. Or it's just the computer trying to decipher whatever the hell you said. One of the two, but whatever. So he died, and there was a funeral for him last week, I believe. And at this funeral, and this individual, I believe, was Polynesian of some persuasion. I don't know exactly what, if he was Hawaiian or Samoan or Tongan or something. I have no idea. At this funeral, there was another fucking shooting, which was either like a gang shooting or it was like an interfamilial spat, so like a tribal shooting, which is like there's not really much of a difference. Um, but I think another person got killed at that shooting, and like it's made national news, of course. And it's funny because like Max mentioned it to me, and he messaged me, and he was like, "Hang on, are the Tongans who are shooting each other in SLC actually Mormon or?" And I was like, LMAO, maybe. They're probably adjacent at the very least. They might be Mormon. Imagine getting smoked because you got denied the sale of alcohol in a Mormon state. Yeah, man. Like Utah County too. Like you think of Utah and you're like, all right, so Salt Lake is the most populous city. That's clearly where the most Mormons are. So that's going to be the most heavily Mormon. And Salt Lake City might have a larger Mormon population there, but per capita in Utah County, it blows it out of the water where I am, which is like just south of Salt Lake, where you have Provo and Orem specifically. Like it's a much higher per capita of like Mormons here. So like the fact that he got smoked in Utah, actually was he? I don't even actually know if it was Utah County. In Utah, yeah, but like it's interesting getting smoked at the Salt Lake one because Salt Lake County is a little bit less Mormon than Utah County per capita at least. So yeah, I was probably like they're probably Mormon adjacent at the very least. They were probably brought over as part of like a missionary thing, or their parents were, or great parents were, great grandparents, which is a thing. Um, yeah, Max goes, it's just kind of weird how Salt Lake City can end up with a dot 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 Polynesian gang problem that is so bad it shuts down hospitals. Which is another thing that happened because of it. They were worried about people going to the hospital where certain victims were being treated and trying to shoot people more, which is wild that like these people come over and they want to kill each other so bad they're just like, all right, we need to get to the hospitals and shoot them there. It's like, fuck, dude. Like that's the neutral zone in every video game and every movie. You can't do that shit, man. Can't do that. But yeah, so they put the hospital on lockdown, which for Utah is a rare occurrence, but like having been a 911 dispatcher in upstate New York, that's like bread and butter. That's like, oh, it's Tuesday. It's yeah, that happens. Yeah, oh, black people shooting each other. Oh, hospital's on lockdown because somebody made a threat they were going to go to the ER and shoot one of the people who lived. Oh, that's okay, whatever. Yeah. Like, all right, what's next? Oh, parking tickets. Okay. And I was like, yeah, I wanted to discuss this next episode because Utah has a very large Polynesian population, like I mentioned. It's not a majority of the state by any means, but like compared to other states, there's a lot more. A lot of that also has to do with the joke Max and I made back and forth. Is he here? Here he is. It's the man. It's the Max. Statistically racist Max. He's here. Oh, he did text me. Okay, that's a very good reason. That's great. That's a nice setup too. So Max was
being a racist.
he was being a racist. I'm not gonna lie. You're like, hey, sorry, set up my sim rig, and I totally read that as stim rig, and I was like, yeah, man. But we did start, so we are live, and I'm glad you're here. That's totally fine. Shit happens, man. But we were talking about the Polynesian gangs that apparently exist in Salt Lake and Utah that you messaged me about. And I was just literally explaining the buildup of how. Also, you are blurry, my friend. We cannot see you. We need light. Lighter, but still blurry. There we go. There we go. There he is. All right. So I was talking about how basically like a week after the shooting at the In-N-Out in Idaho, there was that incident at the gas station here where somebody tried to buy alcohol without an ID and got denied and left and drove around the block and like came back with a shotgun and immediately got smoked by two upstanding white concealed carrying citizens of Utah. At least I assume they were white since they didn't get arrested for it. But like I said, it was a justified shoot. Death Chilada says, imagine getting smoked because you got denied the sale of alcohol in a Mormon state.
I'm just curious because I thought it was like a interfamily like blood feud, like
So the latter part of it was like the initial part where he goes to the gas station and gets smoked and then like all that shit. That was his funeral. So at this guy's funeral is where we had the blood feud / gang war / tribal conflict between these Polynesian families. I don't know if it's actually a gang thing. I don't know if it's just like some like families being at it with each other over some bullshit. I truly don't know, but like also in my mind, like tribal warfare is tribal warfare. Like if you're a Blood or a Crip or a Tongan or a Polynesian, if you're going after like if it's family beef, it's family beef. Um so yeah, that's kind of where we're at. I was explaining like the prevalence of the Polynesian population in Utah and why, because the Mormon Church like loves importing brown people from overseas. They just love doing it. And I actually said this in a group chat with a bunch of my gun owning buddies here in Utah, and several of them are Mormon. And they were just like, oh man, it's a gang thing. Utah's changing. And I was like, well, it certainly doesn't help that the fucking LDS Church just loves importing brown people en masse under the guise of missionary activities. And a couple of them were like, yeah, it's kind of bullshit. And I was like, all right, that's an interesting position.
It's great for BYU's football program.
It's great for BYU's football program, which is literally just what I was. Next Far Cry is set in Utah. Death Chilada, they already had that. Like Far Cry 2, like especially the desert portions, it's like very much Utah. But yeah, so very close to me in Utah County is BYU or Brigham Young University. Brigham Young University. Well, the thing about BYU is that it is a real college. They give real degrees. You can get a real education there. But it's a private Mormon college. which is what it is. I have no problem with private educational institutions on their face. Like, they could suck and I would have a problem with them. Like most colleges and universities, being private doesn't mean they don't suck. BYU is just different though because it's very heavily Mormon and the
In a lot
course.
of respects,
Mhm.
like the private colleges are worse than public ones
Mhm.
as far as your like how liberal they are. Now that's not always true.
Not always, but I can see how that could
Uh,
be the case.
but like public colleges like at least answer nominally to like a Republican board of regents.
Mhm.
At least there's some Republican member of the board of regents
At least one
there
usually.
who like has some dissent
Mhm.
towards like whatever batshit policies they want to do.
Like,
Um, However, like a private college, if it's just like this endowment for like, you know, uh, lesbian Episcopals or something like that, they can just they just take that and ride. They just
they're called fishwives.
there's no feedback on that. Although there's other versions of like what's like the conservative Christian college. There's like one in Florida. There's one in Texas. I
Notre
mean, they're
Dame?
setting them up all over there. No,
No. I mean, I know they exist. I
or
know
like
they're there.
Prager University or something like
Oh
that.
God, there's one in upstate New
They
York that
set
is
up
also really. It's like a really big like nursing school, but it's like a private Catholic college. What is it called? It's like in Albany. Oh my God, they're around.
is it one that had Butker,
No,
the
hang on.
speaker, give the commencement speech.
Um, I don't think so. I can't remember the name. It's fine. Saint Rose, Saint Mary Rose, Saint Rosemary, something like that. I don't know, but it's like it's a private. It's a ostensibly. I don't know. Like
The Italian
just
culinary school.
is it Saint Maria, Saint Rose, Saint Rosemary, Saint Rosemaria, whatever? Like some like pasta stomping, sauce dripping name. I don't know, something like that. Um, but BYU, having met several people who've gone to BYU and worked with an individual who went to BYU's business school, their coursework is like definitely laden with some extra theological requirements that other colleges don't have, even other religious colleges. And you can get a lot of your like core electives and stuff you do out of the way by doing some interesting coursework. Let's just say that. And if you are a member of the LDS Church, you get a massive discount for tuition. Like people who aren't LDS really don't go to BYU because they also like their rules and standards for how you have to conduct yourself are very much centered around like LDS rules. Like you can't actually go into the BYU testing center to take an examination if you have facial hair. I think maybe they allow like a mustache that doesn't go beyond the corners of the mouth. But if you have like a beard, you have to shave before you are allowed to go to the testing center and complete your examinations.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
which is
know,
it's a private school.
honestly, it's having bizarre arbitrary rules,
Mm-hmm.
or that one's not even that bizarre,
Mm-hmm.
but like some forms of archaic and like arbitrary rules aren't really there because they actually care about beards and
Mm-hmm.
stuff. It's because they just um it's like this principle of like, okay, well I can kick out anybody I want at any time.
Mm-hmm.
If and then or it's so you have a way of rewarding your friends and punishing your enemies, basically. Like
Basically, yeah.
everybody's constantly in like flux or like some kind of gray zone with regards to like tax law or um some EPA regulation with respect to wetlands in their backyard and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And you know it just the if you make the wrong enemies, it's like find me the man, find me the crime
Mm-hmm.
kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
And it makes complete sense why they would do that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
No, it makes
If you
yeah.
if you wanted to have a way to just be like, yeah, fuck you, get out of
Mm-hmm.
here, that's probably just fine. And
Yeah.
they had to find, because of the way U.S. law is written, they just had to come up with that one instead of it's like IQ tests aren't allowed for jobs anymore
Hmm.
because, um, that would have disparate impacts.
Mm.
So they just like come up with a bajillion different things to like substitute for an IQ test. And then I don't know, have you seen like the job? I'm applying for a job, and they're like, list your favorite sport, basketball or hockey.
Like
Those are the two options on the drop down menu.
it's like I don't feel like they're trying to ask me what my skin color is, but they're definitely trying to ask me what my skin color is. I don't want to say. Um, I actually been doing some job interviews recently because we're like desperate for staff still, and
You're interviewing people. Okay.
I'm interviewing people. Yeah, and
Is
I've
it good that you do
definitely had a few that like I had serious questions about. We had this one lady recently, and like, okay, so I had one a couple months ago, and it was just like, all right, so what's a time where, like, I'm just trying to get a gauge for how individuals will like handle stress, especially with other coworkers or customers. No, you're good. Um, and I was like, okay, so how have you dealt with a situation where you've had a conflict with another employee, or let's say a conflict with like a customer over something, and how you dealt with that? Oh, well, this one time, this lady at the Walmart I was working at had a problem and I helped her out with it and she gave me some free hand lotion. It was pretty cool. And I'm just like, okay. And at that point, I usually have like a junior manager with me and they're a little more like they have more questions they can ask. They have like lists. And I keep it professional, but like I've gotten to the point now where I know what to ask people to like get an accurate gauge of like how they're going to be as an employee. And I had another one recently where I probably should have known this was going to be a bad idea because the only thing she's done for employment recently was being a part-time yoga instructor, which on its own is fine. It's totally fine, especially, she's a mom, she has 4 kids. They just basically started moving out of the house for college and stuff like that. So it's like, okay, I get it. You do that in your spare time when you can. You're running a home. That's admirable. That's fine. But her other work experience was in 2004, where she had worked as a receptionist for a healthcare clinic for 7 years, which is okay, fine. But I'm like,
ending
okay,
in 2004 or starting in 2004?
ending in 2004.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah. So, and she's like, yeah, okay, I'm a part time yogi Tuesday mornings and Thursdays. And it's like, okay. So I asked her, I was like, like maybe back in the time when you were a receptionist or now as a yogi or like anything, have you ever had like conflict with other employees or conflict with customers? And if so, like how did you resolve it? Like what happened? What did you do? All that stuff. And there's a couple reasons I asked this specific question because it gauges the emotional intelligence of an individual to deal with conflict in the workplace of any kind, which is going to happen. You are working with other people, you're going to butt heads. And I need to know how you are going to respond to being told what to do by a manager if you have a grudge against the manager for some reason, or handling an angry guest, or handling a customer service issue where it's no one's fault but the guest is just being inconvenienced. Tell me what you got. What have you dealt with before? What are you proud of dealing with? What do you think you could have handled better? No, I don't really like. I just kind of avoid conflict usually, so I don't really have anything on that. And I'm just like, okay,
I mean, it's hard to even like coach them. It's like, so your kids never like disagreed about
yeah.
something, and
Like,
then
how about yeah,
you do
exactly.
it.
Like, you just let your kids do whatever. Like, your daughter right now is like out shooting heroin in a field, and your son is the school's gay thought, and you're just okay with that. Like, it's all good. It's all good. Like, fuck the words of wisdom, whatever. I just can't like. So yeah, that was another one, and like there are other things too, not necessarily IQ things, but like ego things. We had this one girl come in once, and on her resume, she's like, "Oh, I'm a CEO of a small business I own, and I do this and I do that." And I'm just like, "Okay, this is cool." And she's like 23, and I'm just like, "Okay, we'll give her a chance." Like, I want
I
to
mean, most
interview her.
states like starting an LLC is like $40.
Exactly.
So
Exactly. Yeah, man. I can start like we could start an LLC for this podcast and call ourselves business owners if we really want to.
yeah,
We should do that.
I'm a founder.
Yeah, I'm a founder of the Anti-Happening
I'm
podcast.
I'm looking for some VC for some startup rounds, and
Hmm.
we will be going to market with deliverables.
And
I've got those.
I would
We
say
could
I would
save
say
$5 million in San Francisco just for that.
exactly. Yeah, we'll get $5 million right there. I'd say we can go public about this. Let's see, like Q3 of fiscal year 28. That sounds good to me.
Yep.
Yeah. Um. So she comes in and she's like, first of all, and like this is just something. She walks in, and this room that we do the interviews in is like there's three walls, and there's a big glass wall essentially with a glass door in it, and it's like an open office kind of thing where it's a private space. You can talk. It's kind of soundproof, but everybody can see in the room. And the reason I specifically do that is because as a guy interviewing for a position where I get a way more women applicants than I do men, I don't want to take a female applicant or a woman applicant. Sorry, people are going to go, oh, he says female instead of woman, into some back room somewhere with no camera and interview her for 15 to 20 minutes. I don't want to do that. So I do it in a glass room where everybody can see me, and I usually have another manager with me, which I will do regardless if they're male or female because I
It's
want that
like
other person there.
the Mike Pence
Yeah,
rule.
I'm never alone with another woman who is not my wife. Which, here's the thing. Like, I feel like you maybe should be able to gauge, like, okay, this person is my friend for years. It's fine. It's not a problem. But it's also like to pretend that that's like necessarily like weird. Like it is a little maybe, but it's like, you know, okay, fair. Like if that's how you want to live. Um, so I'm interviewing this girl, and she walks into the glass room, and me and this other manager immediately just this girl just stinks. I don't know what it is, if it's her clothes, if it's something she ate, if it's like some medical disorder she has. And otherwise she's like a very like objectively attractive contemporarily person. She's tall, her hair looks nice, she's just looks professional, she looks well put together. Like she's not somebody you'd be like, oh, this person's a slob or something like that. She walks in, just stinks, and we're just like, oh, okay. So we're trying to get through this, and like it's not really bad, but it's enough where it's like if you're in proximity to her, you're like, what the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? And after she left too,
Didn't wipe her ass kind of
maybe
thing?
because I literally like the first thing, like she leaves and closes the door behind her, and I'll go more into what we actually talked about with her. But she closed the door behind her, and we both my manager and I watch her go. And as soon as she leaves the double doors in front of the store, I just turn and I go, "Did she smell bad to you?" And she just went, "Oh my god, yeah." So okay, but like the other thing too is just like this company she owns is a remote company that does like staff recruitment or like she didn't really explain what it did. And I kind of was like, "Oh, you recruit for
I
other
have a friend, like I've asked him like 3 times like
like
what
what
he
he does?"
does.
Yeah, and he just can't give you a straight
And
answer.
he just launches into like, oh yeah, it's like this project management for utility. I'm like, what?
Yeah, then that's exactly what it was. And like the company too that she does this for are companies primarily are based out of like Alaska. But the other thing
Wait,
is,
like placing people for like seasonal fishing jobs or something?
maybe, I don't know. But like she had this company and then she had another thing where she was doing door-to-door sales in solar, and like we get a lot of people who do door-to-door solar and they come and they want to do a sales job. And sometimes when you look at their sales record, it's impressive. Like they clearly can work it, they know what they're doing, they know how to clientele, they know what neighborhoods, they're doing the proper research, they're closing deals like they're top salespeople in their field and coming here. And I looked at her sales numbers for that, and they were pretty good. And I'm just like, okay, you know what? We'll give her a shot. Comes in and just, I don't think I could get a straight answer out of her if I had a gun. Like, she just deflecting this and vaguing that, and couldn't really explain what she did, and just like she was more just kind of like pointing to numbers, like we do this in revenue and like this and this. I did this in sales and this, and look at my numbers and look at my numbers, and don't actually ask me what I do and look at my numbers. And it's like numbers in the sales world are very important, but they're not everything. And especially like you do need to be able to show your work after a certain point because you're not like You're not fucking Nick Cannon and Drumline like out here like banging these sick beats, but you can't fucking read sheet music. Like that doesn't work for us. So she starts, I asked her the question, tell me about a time you had conflict either with an employee or a customer. And she starts telling us this story about how she tried to hire somebody on into the C-level management of her company, which I can't imagine is very large or has very many personnel. So why you all of a sudden you have C-level management when it's like you and four other people? It's like, what's the point, man? Like, okay, cool. You're the CEO of Schmuck Industries. You have three other employees. Like, and this guy apparently applied for this position and had worked for much larger companies and wasn't C-level management, but he was like VP level, which is still fairly high up in a company, but it's not C-level management. And this was like, okay.
When it's a real company, they probably made more money.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And I guess like he was also kind of on the younger side. Like that's the thing about Utah is the state economy is really good. And there are a lot of like locally run businesses, but like sometimes you get a lot of this like I run this out of my garage. I'm the CEO. This is my CFO. This is my CTO.
Oh yeah,
And it's like Mike and Jim. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's exactly what it is. And apparently this guy went to the company and like he would ask for like, all right, can I get reports on this? Can I get information on that? And she'd be like, no, we don't really do that. Like we'll do quarterly reports for stuff. And she tried to paint it as just like, yeah, I don't think he really liked taking instructions from me as a woman. But what I'm hearing is, yeah, he was asking me for resources that he felt were necessary to do his job. And I basically just like looked at him like he was crazy for asking for these things. And it got uncomfortable and he left. And it's just like, okay, like trying to frame this as a girl boss moment, like let's strike two.
Yeah, when somebody's thinks they're the hero of the story,
Yeah, and it's like,
no, I think you're the asshole.
It's like, am I the asshole here? No, actually, like, yeah, like I don't know how he really acted towards you, but like if you hired him on under the pretense that he was going to be doing XYZ and you're like, sorry, I only have the resources for X, like that's on you, man. And then the other thing too, like I said, she couldn't give me a straight answer on anything except for salary. And like the hourly she asked for was just something approaching to what I make, which I'm the second highest manager in the store. Like I'm an assistant general manager. And she was like, yeah, I want to make that hourly. And I'm just like, yeah, that's not happening. Like we'll give you something comparable to like an entry level sales position, and especially for your experience and whatnot. But like, we're not, like you're not, like I didn't say that to her, but I was just like in my head, I'm like, all right, that's strike three right there. Like you stink. You're a fake girl boss. You want too much money. We're done. We're not doing this. And so yeah, that was a slight tangent talking about life here in Utah. Okay. So while he's getting that, I'm gonna swing us back to BYU, the discussion we were having before. BYU especially loves Tongans and Polynesian people in general because Tongans and Hawaiians and Samoans and other Polynesian folks are generally larger individuals, especially men. And that is the exact kind of motherfucker you want on your defensive line or your offensive line for your college football team. And BYU is a very, very highly competitive college in the athletic world. Like, I would say that it is mostly a school that produces athletes and has educational facilities because they just feel like they should. Like, it's not really where the money comes in, and that's not really the attention. And if you apply to a lot of jobs with a BYU degree and you're not applying to a job where your hiring manager also either went to BYU or is LDS, your resume is probably going in the trash because BYU degrees are not that great. Like, it's just not. Like, not that I really put that much value on a lot of college degrees, especially ones that aren't STEM, but like, BYU degrees are not. It's basically like, it's like an online, it's like Southern New Hampshire University, essentially, like that level. And I say that as somebody who went to Southern New Hampshire University for like 3 months and was like, this is fucking dumb, and just got out. But yeah, it doesn't.
So I'm looking up their rankings,
Yep.
and they're 110 nationally.
BYU?
Which, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Which is like, I mean, they're a Division I school, so
Yeah.
it's like, I wouldn't say it's like Southern New Hampshire
No.
tier, but
No, not in terms of athletics, in terms of academics.
Yeah, no, and I'm just wondering about the academics. Um, so they said they're number 17 for value. Overall in the U.S., they got ranked 20 by the Wall Street Journal.
I
Sorry.
don't know about that.
Number 3 program nationally for accounting. Number
I could
24
see that
nationally
actually.
for law school.
Uh,
Engineering 96.
so I will to the law school thing real quick. Thinking about that, that makes sense because government agencies recruit heavily from Mormon circles. Like they love Mormons.
That's just because they don't do drugs.
They don't do drugs. They're obedient. They don't really ask questions of authority. They're like the perfect government employees, but mostly because they don't do drugs. That's mostly what it is. Um,
Yeah, I mean, just for a solid period of time, they're the only people who pass a piss test.
yeah.
And then the other thing is that they can, like you were saying, be very cliquish, right? Because if it's like, oh, you get one guy in with a BYU degree, all of a sudden, like everybody else with a BYU degree
Get
gets
them.
an angle.
They're kind of like Indians in that regard. Like you put one Indian into a hiring manager position, and all of a sudden their entire team is Indians. It's like, huh? How does that happen? Anyway, um, focusing on the true crime, criminal justice aspect of what shit that's been going on. I would say there's three major cases right now that I kind of wanted to touch on. There's the Luigi Mangione case, which had a massive development last week. He pleaded guilty to murder. Well, stalking with the intent to cause death, which essentially is a premeditated murder charge, which I'm going to go more into that in a bit because it's been interesting to see how people have been reacting to that and handling that online. You have things with the Tyler Robinson case still ongoing, and there hasn't been any huge development there, I would say. Like his defense is pulling well, he shouldn't receive the death penalty because he was only aiming at Charlie Kirk and only hit Charlie Kirk, which is like, it's not great when you're trying to like say you're not guilty. Um, and then you have, I don't know if you've heard of this. Have you been following or heard of the Lindsay Clancy trial at all?
Yeah,
That one's
a little.
rough.
No, I haven't followed it. I
Same.
inadvertently learned about it.
Like here and there, you hear about it. That one's really rough. It's about a mom who murdered her three children, and there's a whole lot of drama about that, especially as it applies to certain individuals who use TikTok. Um, I think first we'll go for the Luigi thing because the Luigi thing is probably the largest development out of any of the three cases. Where last week he pled guilty to federal charges of interstate stalking with the intent to cause death, which did result in death. Now, this surprised a lot of people because a lot of people were pretty sure he didn't do it. And that him pleading guilty in this circumstance, you could make the argument that there is a chance maybe he still didn't. Because essentially he's taking a deal to avoid being executed by the federal government. Now, New York State doesn't have the death penalty, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So doing this means that he gets to spend the rest of his life in prison without the possibility of parole. Pleading guilty also does something extra. It waives your right to an appeal, specifically for both the conviction and the sentence that you receive. Now, that doesn't mean you can't appeal, but you are limited to how you can appeal. So, most people who plead guilty and then appeal their case later on, one of the more common instances they will give is, oh, I was misled by my counsel or I was misled by other individuals who told me XYZ was going to happen and I did this and I was misled and they used my confession and it needs to be thrown out because I was not informed of all the facts or I was outright lied to or something like that. And this is incredibly, incredibly, incredibly difficult to prove. It has been proven before, and there are instances of police essentially extorting a confession out of individuals who are usually notably mentally ill or mentally retarded to some degree. Or they just straight up lock you in a holding cell for 48 hours and don't let you out and don't give you a phone call. And you're like, if you just confess, we'll let you out. We'll just let you out, which is actually kind of what the Japanese police do a lot. But
Yeah,
that's aside.
civil law countries, it's much different than what we
Mm-hmm.
have with the common law
Mm-hmm.
stuff. But yeah,
Yeah, and
it, France and Italy, like when you basically like trials are inverted from what we have.
Yeah, you did it,
prove
and now
yourself
you need to
innocent.
exactly. Yeah,
And you
you
get
need to prove your innocence.
and the court and the judge is directly like determining innocence. There's usually not juries for most of
Exactly.
those as
Yeah.
well.
Which is another thing too, because it's like, all right, so Max, you've mentioned this before that you believe that Luigi was set up as a patsy for the murder.
Not
You think it's
not
possible?
entirely.
Not entirely. You think it could have been possible?
It's there was times where it seemed plausible,
Yeah.
and I don't know. Yeah.
Like, here's the thing: there is still the possibility there that he was set up for this, and he's just trying to preserve his life, essentially. Which, see, this is what my personal view on this is. I am already not keen on the fact that his heroic act essentially is shooting a man in the back who is not aware that he was there and unarmed and just walking down the street, which, okay, it's a political assassination, whatever. You shot a man in the back and ran away. And then you protested your innocence and protested your innocence. And you talked about how everything that was happening was like an abomination of justice and insulting to the American people and all of this shit. And your lawyer's tactic essentially is to get as much of the evidence thrown out as possible on technicalities, which
Mhm.
any good lawyer will do. Any good criminal defense lawyer is immediately going to review all of that shit and do what they can. And there was a little bit that got tossed out, at least on a state level. I don't know about federally, but on a state level, certain things were thrown out, certain charges were dismissed. But once that didn't work, and they were going to go forward to trial, and he had the option of having a jury of his peers, which it would probably be very hard to find people who would not be open to the possibility of possibly engaging in jury nullification because they don't think he did anything wrong. Even if they do think that he did it, they're going to go, yeah, he didn't do anything wrong. Guy got what was coming. Well, that shit. And it was, you might have had a good chance with a jury in that regard, especially if you really were framed or set up to be a patsy and you didn't actually do it and there was strong evidence for that. Now, I don't know what kind of alibi he actually provided for like where he was at the time of the shooting, but basically his defense counsel, when the throwing the evidence out tactic didn't work, just immediately was like, all right, dude, you should probably start thinking about plea deals. And Missile Launch says the official story still doesn't fully add up to me. That's totally fine. There are things here and there we're not going to know because it's an active case. We might not find out for a while. There are things that, don't necessarily add up here and there, but basically, he pleads guilty to murder. He pleads guilty to an interstate stalking with the intent to cause death, which is a premeditated murder charge, but I believe is actually only second degree murder on a federal level, which is how he is avoiding the death penalty. I could be wrong about the degree of felony there or the degree of murder, but it's not capital murder. It's not first degree murder, and this is how he is avoiding the death penalty. But like I said, no parole, no appeal on sentencing, no appeal on conviction. So basically, what you're saying is, I'm okay with spending the rest of my life in prison without the chance of ever getting out as long as I get to keep my life and I don't get executed. Which I am not in his shoes. I have never been in a position where I have basically been told you need to plead guilty to this crime because if you go to trial and get found guilty, you're going to get executed. So if you want to stay alive, you should plead guilty. I've never been in that situation, so I am not about to sit here and say for sure like how I would react to that. But if I was truly innocent and I really didn't do it and the government was really setting me up and I don't have a wife and I don't have kids and I have nobody who depends on me and they were like, plead guilty or we'll kill you, I would go, okay, kill me. I choose firing squad. Let's go.
Yeah, I mean the guy's in severe back pain,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And
enough that
I
it
thought,
makes you want to kill another person, basically.
yeah, if that's, yeah, and that was like established as some kind of MO, and I I guess it's just like this kind of lack of follow through. I
Yeah.
think in general, there's this there's one other possibility I would suggest, that he is waiting for him, like the next Democrat president,
To
to
pardon
give
him?
him like a genuine January 20th, like Weather Underground style pardon, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know, but because it's like Ross Ulbricht was serving like quadruple life sentences and shit
Hmm.
like that on from this fucked up trial, and they
Yeah,
finally got him out.
this is true.
But so you know, that's one possibility. But I feel like prison didn't really exist until like the last 100 or 200 years,
Hmm.
right? For most society,
At
like
least as we
there were
understand it,
jails,
yeah.
there were places to hold people who had not yet had their day in court, or like, were unsuitable to release because they were still drunk from last night's bar fight or
Hmm.
something like that.
Exactly.
But for the vast majority of history, your sentence would either be, you are going to the penal colony to work and turn big rocks into little rocks,
Hmm.
or you're exiled.
Hmm.
I mean, like the varieties of punishments would be, okay, we held you in jail overnight, pay your fine and go
Hmm.
home.
And then you have
And
like public humiliation.
yeah, we might put you in the stocks for a
Yeah.
day, and people are gonna throw rotting food at your face and laugh at you.
And then next step is like we're gonna physically injure you on purpose as a form of punishment. Like you stole, we're gonna take a finger or a hand.
They wouldn't cut, they would lash people a lot
Oh,
and
that
cane
too.
them.
Whipping,
Yeah.
caning, lashing.
Um,
Um,
and then next tier up would be like gibbets and stuff like
yeah.
that. Like, oh, we're gonna lock you in a gibbet for a few days, and everybody's gonna, uh, ogle at you, and it's gonna be uncomfortable. You're gonna piss and shit yourself
Yeah.
while hanging from this thing, and then, and not get any water,
Mm-hmm.
and then, yeah, exile. Like, okay, you're going to Louisiana
Mm-hmm. You're going to
immediately.
Australia.
You're going to Australia.
The
Um,
Louisiana exile, though, was like you're going to Louisiana and you have to take a prostitute with you and marry her. And a lot of the criminals were like, wait, so not only do I get to leave, I get a prostitute that I keep forever? Okay, sign me up.
this is
That's the French. That's how the
remember
French think.
they were criminals.
They were. Exactly.
They
They're
were
already.
crime. So
Like, imagine
uh,
if we went to like all of the black people in jail and we're like, all right, we're going to let you go. You get to go back to Africa. But in exchange, you have to take one black woman who is also incarcerated with you, and you can't ever come back. A lot of them would take that deal. I think a lot of them would take that deal.
Liberia was founded on that
Exactly.
deal, and
Exactly.
then it stopped. But um,
Liberia too.
anyways, then next step up would be like, yeah, we're just gonna execute you.
Yeah, you're done.
There wasn't like, oh, we're gonna hold you in confinement for 5 years. Like, this is like a kind of niche idea that the
Mm-hmm.
Puritans and the Quakers had.
Yep.
Basically, it was really the Quakers
Yeah.
that came up with prison as
Mm-hmm.
we know it. That like, oh, if we put them into, like, if we force monasticism on them, oh, that was another form of punishment. You might be forced to join
Mm-hmm.
a
A monastery
monastery
or a
or
convent or something.
the
There's
yeah
also
some
too, you could get sent to the wall and you just have to join the watch and patrol for White Walkers and wildlings. So
well yeah being sent to be part of like the Hudson Bay Company.
exactly. Yeah.
So but like
Good
the
news, you're
idea that
going on a trip.
we could set up like a secular state-run monastery
Mm-hmm.
where people can have enough introspection and clarity about their lives and situations that they feel regret one day about the violence and harm that they've caused others, and then we can release them into society rehabilitated as a with newfound respect for their fellow man.
Mm-hmm.
Was an experiment that just did not work.
Yeah.
I think, at all. I
Mm.
like when here's the problem though, is like prison abolitionists on the left, they're like, we should abolish prison. And then you're like, okay, so what should we do with all like the rapists and the murderers? And they're like, let's not talk about hypotheticals.
Yeah. Oh, they can be rehabilitated. It's like,
So we're just going to rehabilitate them without the secular monastery.
yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
that sounds even less plausible.
Exactly. Yeah.
The other solution is maybe we should just execute more people.
Maybe. Yeah.
I think
Excuse me.
if you look at the stats, about 1% of the population was executed for the last 1,000 years in Europe and East Asia. And it generally, like, whatever little wonky combinations of genes, it doesn't happen instantly.
No, it doesn't.
But whatever, like, inhibition limiter that is not present in a population will slowly, develop.
Yeah.
Especially because most of these executions were done when these people were young age. Like, I mean, I think if you look back at the records in England or France, you'll see that they routinely executed 14 and 15 and 16-year-olds and stuff like that.
So on that note, having studied criminal justice, and this is kind of a sad fact, there are certain individuals, especially like as teenagers and kids, if they started engaging in really seriously antisocial behavior, and I don't mean antisocial in like the modern linguise we know it as you don't like to go outside, you prefer being alone, you like to read instead of being at the club. I mean, like, you're a murderer, you're a rapist, you're violent, you are unable to
not even antisocial in the way of listens to their music with their headphones off.
Yeah, exactly. It's antisocial, like murder, rape, kidnapping, extortion, like all of these things are classified as antisocial behaviors. And if it's to that point where, and I'm not saying theft, and I'm not saying like, even in some cases, like robbery can't be rehabilitated, but like children, especially who rape or murder or anything like that, there's really nothing you can do. Like, it's really sad. You can try, but the vast majority of them simply can't be rehabilitated because that behavior was part of them during a critical formation of who they are, and they're growing up and they're maturing into people. And statistically, people who, like, let's say you go to jail at age 15 for murder and you're in jail for a while and you get out when you're an adult, statistically, you don't adapt well, and the odds of you engaging in recidivism are pretty high. Maybe not necessarily murder again, but like something. And it's just there's a strong argument for, like, if you're 15 and you murder somebody, you should go to jail and never come out. Which at that point,
well, already the recidivism rates for all crimes, right? Like, just the idea that we're going to warehouse people for 3 years, 3 times in a row, and then they'll come out and
be fine.
not commit another crime. Like, it's
exactly.
just, it's
and that's the thing. Like even if like there is a stigma in society against felons, it is difficult for felons and people who have been to jail or prison to find places of employment, even if there weren't specific like policies at certain jobs saying no felons or anything like that. People just don't necessarily want to hire or work with people who have been convicted of crimes. Now, this is something I wanted to go back to earlier too, because we were talking about like Ross Ulbright in regards to Luigi Mangione. Ross Ulbright was serving like how many consecutive life sentences or whatever, but he was in a different kind of prison. His crimes were technically nonviolent, so he was in more of white.
They put him in originally in Florence, Supermax. He was leading D&D groups with Ted Kaczynski and the Mall of America bomber.
Never mind, because I was gonna
because they said that his site allowed for when the ATF took out a hit on using his website, they on themselves. Okay. So they they said, "Oh, he was personally responsible for calling for the
Mhm.
money for hire assassination of a federal agent, and that's why they got him so bad."
Wow.
Because the ATF had posted on his website murder for hire of one of their own agents.
Hmm.
And they never disclosed to the jury that it was they themselves who had posted that, even though it was against the terms, the rules and the terms of service, and he deleted the post.
Interesting.
Anyways,
I
so
should
yeah,
have. No, okay, yeah.
he was able to get his sentence, he was able to argue at a certain point that he was a white collar criminal, basically, and
Mhm.
they did eventually move him
Interesting.
to low security, like but no, he was in Florence and the Supermax.
Okay,
Couldn't
so I'm
see,
mistaken.
only got to see the sky for 1 hour a day.
Damn. Fuck. Okay. Well, that's the thing too. Is like Luigi being convicted of what he is convicted is not going to a nice prison. Not necessarily going to Supermax with Ted Kaczynski and the Mall of America bomber, but he's going to a prison where they house other individuals who have committed murder and rape and other shit like that. This isn't, oh, you committed tax evasion, you're going to a prison with a tennis court. This is like, don't drop the soap. It's that bad. And this is the thing. Like, maybe you're banking on a pardon from a future president. Maybe you're banking on there being some evidence that comes to light somehow, with you getting out or proving that you were manipulated into pleading guilty when you didn't understand the ramifications or something like that. But like what bothers me about this the most and bothers me about what he did is like you said, that the follow through is shitty on his part. Because you get angry enough where you commit this act and you run away and you protest your innocence. But it's like a tongue in cheek. It's like, yeah, I'm not guilty. Wink. Yeah, but if I did it, it would be justified because fuck these guys, right? And you have all of this public support from people. If he truly is a patsy, they'll get him into something nice once the plebs have forgotten about him. That's a possibility, miss. That is a very much a possibility. But my point is, if you're going to murder a health insurance CEO and you want it to be about the fact that he is a health insurance CEO, you protest your innocence and then you plead guilty and then you try to give like some little like snapbacks at the end where you're like, well, when I was trying to get my case dealt with, I barely got a response, but when I emailed about like the financial reception, I got a response within a couple minutes. And it's like, on its own, it's like, oh snap, son, he really got it. But it's like, do you think the fucking receptionist who was in charge of setting up the guest sheet for their fundraiser is the same individual who is handling medical cases and all of that shit? No, of course not. These are completely different people. Like, if you email, I don't know, somebody who is in charge of running the gift shop at a hospital, you're probably going to get a much quicker response than if you email the fucking CFO directly about your hospital bill. You just are. If you even get a response, because their workload isn't as serious or as heavy. So it's not a great comparison, bro. Like, you can be frustrated. You're more than entitled to be frustrated about your situation. But there's also the argument of, did United Healthcare actually deal with Luigi at all? Like, did he have their health insurance? Did they ever deny a claim of his? Like, that's the other thing. It's just like, taking Ted Kaczynski, for example. Okay, he mailed bombs out. He pleaded guilty to it, specifically pretty much to avoid the death penalty. He spent the rest of his life in prison because of it. There is some argument that some of the individuals who died by his bombs had some weird sort of relation to the MK Ultra program in which he was a victim. And this is a historical fact that he got MK Ultra'd. He was the original one of the MK Ultras.
He was tortured
He was
on
tortured
by the CIA, by
the CIA. Yeah.
in conjunction with psychology departments and
So if you are tortured by the CIA in conjunction with college professors and other people in the psychology department, and you mail them bombs, I'm not saying everybody who died was directly responsible and deserved it, but there's cause there. That makes sense. Those are people who are directly responsible for what happened to you. This dude, this CEO of United Healthcare, you can say whatever you want about the people who are harmed by United Healthcare and denying their claims and all of this shit who go into debt. I'm not arguing that. I'm not arguing against that. What I'm saying, though, is this motherfucker had nothing to do with Luigi. United Healthcare, ostensibly, had nothing to do with Luigi. He just picked them randomly and decided to take his anger about it. It's wild we got more coverage about the United Healthcare CEO murder and almost nothing about the whistleblowers from Boeing that got murdered. Because they don't know who murdered them. That's the thing. Like, if there were people who were caught, there would be more sensation because you have a criminal, and because you have a criminal, you can make more out of it. Like, there was a lot of reporting initially on social media, on actual news outlets, people talking about the Boeing whistleblowers getting murdered. And you're not wrong that there is a difference in coverage, but those are different cases, and they didn't have video footage of them being murdered in the street. Like, that's the other thing. If there was footage of these people being shot in the back by some dude with a mask, and then later they had the guy, I assure you, this case would be absolutely as popular as the Luigi case. 100%. I have no doubt. I'm not saying there isn't a difference in coverage, and you're not wrong to point that out, but it's not an apples to apples comparison. It's just not. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say that, okay, obviously the media is taking a bigger concern here because this is a healthcare company CEO. He's wealthy. He's part of the upper class. Not denying any of that. I'm not arguing against any of that at all. But what I'm saying is, on Luigi's part, the follow through is shitty. Like, this isn't an individual who directly wronged you. Arguably, this isn't a company that directly wronged you. Also, you want to make a statement by killing a person, but as soon as you do, you run away and then you protest your innocence. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. I didn't do it. This trial is a farce. This whole thing is an insult to the American people. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, just kidding. I did it. I did it. Please don't kill me. Please don't kill me. I'll say I did it if you don't kill me. That's it. I'll kill other people, but I can't stand the thought of dying. So in order to save my own life, I will totally plead guilty and spend the rest of my life in federal prison. That's what I'm getting right now. And for me, that's like, bro, you're a fucking coward. Like,
there's like two layers to it. Yeah, he never had their health insurance and no policy with them. The other part is that just when it comes to back injuries and back surgery, like, he did not have his coverage denied. He did receive back surgery.
It just didn't work.
From his back surgery doesn't work.
True. No. Yeah.
Period.
That's fair. Like, I know this.
The best case scenario for back surgery is that you can still walk.
Yeah.
Or it restores some mobility. It basically will never get rid of your pain until we get to the point that we have like Neuralink and we can replace your nerves entirely, or something like that. Like, going in and fucking up, or like fucking around in there, like, it has to be a very extreme scenario, like legitimate birth defects or like hugely traumatic injuries. It might be worth it,
maybe,
to do corrective surgery.
Maybe.
But that's like an asterisk, right?
Yeah.
And I think, you know, as far as like doctors and healthcare providers are concerned, like, this guy's angry, upset because his surgery didn't work. He's obviously like mobile.
Yeah.
Like, he's in a lot of pain. He's in distress, and then wants to take it out on a random guy.
Yeah.
To be honest, I should say random, a guy that only if you who's just not responsible.
Yeah.
For your particular situation, right? Like, was there another case of somebody murdering somebody and they think they're like, well, I mean, you could go to like the Lindsay case, whatever her
Mm,
name is,
yeah,
and
that's the
like
next
people
thing.
talking about postpartum and stuff like that, and like this little network of like true crime people, which I think this has been hashed out to death,
Hmm.
that are like, oh, the husband did it, the husband did
Yeah,
it, or and
like
framed
literally,
her,
she's
or
like a Leo. Leos don't kill their own cubs. There's no way she did it. It's like, fuck, dude, come on.
and it's like, okay, at least in that situation, like if the babies are the ones making you upset, like at least there's a relation
Mm,
uh to your upsetness and the babies in question.
mm,
If she had murdered somebody else's kids because she was upset at her own kids, like that would be the situation.
hmm.
You know what I mean? Um,
That's a decent analogy. Yeah.
I'm just
Like you at
like,
least kill your own kids if you're fucking got postpartum. You kill somebody else's kids, you still got your own kids. You don't solve any. Oh, no, that's terrible. I
well,
can't.
I mean, with the sense of there would be zero sympathy
No,
if she
zero.
had, and so yeah, that's where I'm struggling with a metaphor
And
sometimes.
there was also a video that got like it started circulating today, and I try really hard not to pay attention to this shit because a lot of this is sensationalized as part of like the ongoing gender slop war that Mossad is trying to start in Western social media, and just keeping men and women in general like at each other's throats and hating each other and believing awful things about each other. But there's this woman rocking back and forth in a chair with her child in her chest, and she goes, "Same, Lindsay, same." And it's like, you need your fucking kid removed. Fuck you. That's not okay. Oh, I'm sad and postpartum, and I also feel like killing my kid. I feel bad for you, Lindsay. And it's just like, if you're getting to that point too, where you're filming yourself and you're putting that on the fucking internet for attention from strangers, you are not fit to be a parent. I don't care if you're a
You're
woman. I don't care if you're a dad.
not in the right state.
No,
Yeah.
absolutely not. Like, yeah, man. Even Scooby's like, yeah, dude, that's fucked up. Like, yeah, it is. Um, but like, that's the thing though. Is like, there's a lot. Hang on, I've heard the murder mom has a record of doctor hopping to get SSRIs and some other
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could also make the argument that she was on like several different SSRIs on and off, which that's not a new thing, by the way. Like people getting into manic states or having psychosis or getting violent because they're on SSRIs that aren't properly dialed to their systems and they're going off of one and onto another and there's different side effects of mania and all this shit. Like that's established. That's a fact. Like how many mass shooters, like if not almost all of them, are on some form of SSRIs?
It's almost a circle. Yeah.
Almost a circle. It's almost a circle. So you can sit there and you go, okay, yeah, she was going through postpartum depression. You could also make the argument that her support system in the form of a family around her definitely failed her. Because I haven't really been paying a whole lot of attention to this, but it seems like both the parents, like her parents or like her mother and father in law, and her husband especially, maybe weren't as supportive if they should have been at times. But that doesn't mean the fucking husband did it and framed his wife. Absolutely not. There are.
Okay, the husband was on paternity leave.
Yep.
He was working from home,
Yep.
and he had been helping her with like, you know, access to everything.
Yeah.
I think, shifting away from this particular case,
Mhm.
um the more I read about it and the more I see this, I think SIDS is largely not real.
Yeah.
You know,
Like,
if you
I,
look into the statistics, it's like, oh, people with drug and alcohol problems or who are obese, are it like doubles or triples your ability or your likelihood that your infant will have SIDS,
it's like,
that they just randomly stop breathing.
yeah, that's, yeah.
Okay. Right. Are you sure?
Yeah, that's, like, here's the thing, too. I'm
I think
still,
I said after the fact justification
yeah,
because they don't want to say what actually happened
exactly.
in most of those cases. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that infants don't suddenly die
Oh,
sometimes
no, it
from
happens. Unfortunately, it's
other
sad. It
other
happens.
things, but I would say probably if you investigated the majority of those cases, um, there was like somebody posted a case where like, oh, one of the first documented cases of SIDS, like what got invented was like this mom had 4 kids in a row that all suddenly died, and then in like 40 years later in 1994 she confessed to murdering them all.
There was that. There was also, have you ever heard of the Mary Beth Tinning case? So Mary Beth Tinning, I don't know if this is where Munchausen's by proxy came from, or this is just like a really strong case example of it. But this was a woman who had a child, and that child died of an illness. And then she had another child died of another illness. And then she had another child who had health problems and then was on life support and then died. And they found out that for at least several of the kids, maybe not the first or second, but the third and fourth and so on, she murdered them. She unplugged their life support in some situations. I don't know if she poisoned them or did anything like that. But Munchausen's by proxy came out like it was a big thing that was talked about a lot. I think this also happened in the 90s. But she was also from my hometown, which is fucked up. But
Mm.
basically, the idea is that Munchausen's by proxy is when an individual forces an individual to either become ill or remain ill or die, and they then get to be the center of the attention as the individual who has to help them or has to move on from their tragic death, especially with like being a mom, your kid dying, everyone's sympathetic for you. So she was doing this.
Well, like I remember learning about this in or I first was exposed to it with like the Sixth Sense. Like
Yes,
the
yes,
mom was poisoning the
yes,
kid
yes.
slowly. Yeah.
Good example. There was another TV show that came out. It's called Running with Scissors, where this woman is a reporter. She goes back to her hometown. Girls start dying. Blah blah blah. Spoiler alert. It turns out that like her mom was doing it, and she was also poisoning her as a kid and giving her mental issues, and she didn't know it and couldn't explain what was wrong with her at the time. And then this was also happening to her her other sister, who's like 10 years younger than her. And basically, they find out that like the mom was making the daughter bring these girls over while drugged, and the mom was killing them. And then it is actually revealed that the daughter was also doing it for reasons, and it was like a mom and daughter thing. And the older sister finds out about it at like the very end of the show in a certain way. And but it's like another example of that. And that's maybe what was going on with Lindsay Clancy. Maybe she felt boxed in. She didn't feel any support. She didn't feel like people were taking her concern seriously enough, which is interesting given like what you said, everything the husband did to try to be supportive with shit. And all right, I'm killing my kids. Feel bad for me. Oh no, no one feels bad for you. You're a murderer. It's the thing though that gets me is like I do question not the husband's motives or where he was or what his involvement was, but like 4 months after his kids are murdered by his wife, and he comes home and he finds them dead and calls 911 and blah blah blah. It's fucking sad and tragic. Like he's going on vacations with another woman, and like he's already married with like other kids. Like I think like after a year he was married and had kids on the way. And again, as somebody who is not married and who does not have kids, if my wife killed my 3 children, I don't think I would be going on dates 4 months later. I don't think I would be remarried a year later and already having more kids. I just don't see how, like, everybody grieves differently. So I don't know him, but that's weird. Like, that's not
I'm
normal.
I think there is something to like you're right. I think most people would have a hard time moving on at all.
Yeah. Like, I'm not saying don't ever
Um,
move on. Like, let's say you go through therapy and, like, let's say 2 or 3 years later, or whatever appropriate amount of, like, that's the
but
thing, too. Like, I don't want to be arbitrary about the amount of time.
everybody's a little bit different, and I
Hmm.
think maybe he just like was able to turn off the rumination,
Maybe.
and like the only way out was through for
Yeah.
like
But, like,
I it to be to be real, like a lot of uh horrible things happened to people in the past and it wasn't pathologized
Hmm.
the same way. And yeah, a lot of those people probably could have used some better ways to cope with those things that happened
Hmm.
to them. Uh However, like a certain set of people probably can just like
Yeah.
push through at a
Like
certain point.
I've met some people who are able to like detach from relationships, or like they're able to process trauma and like keep going. And in almost none of these cases is there foul play, or they're insidious behind the scenes, or secretly psychopaths or sociopaths or something like that. But you do kind of have to look at that, and you're just like it just makes me go, oh, that's interesting. Like again, I'm not saying I think the husband secretly did it or framed his wife or participated or anything like that. But you have to wonder what was really happening in that home. And we'll never know. We're never going to know. But it's definitely like, but the other thing too I heard was like the parents, either on her side or his side, who were like a little closer to the situation, also supposedly like weren't really there for her when she asked for help or something. And like, I know too, they were interviewing like all of
Man,
the,
this is like kind of some form of perhaps just like or I would she's the only one responsible,
yeah,
but uh bad grandparents
yeah,
have made modern life so much worse than it needs to be.
yeah. Have you seen the movie Gone Girl?
No,
Okay,
I do want to see it.
it is decent. Like I watched it for the first time last year, I think, and like it's pretty well done, but like it deals with a husband and wife, and the wife goes missing, and people think the husband are responsible for her disappearance, and he's not. She actually did just run away and was basically planning on framing her husband for her murder by mailing a letter to a lawyer and saying that she felt like she was afraid for her life and killing herself in a way that made it look like she was murdered, and then just changes her mind for some reason, like at the last second. And I'm not doing it justice, but basically, the husband behind the scenes is actually a piece of shit for the most part. Like he does cheat on
It's
her. He's financially licentious. He drains their
it's Ben
savings.
Affleck,
It's
right?
Ben Affleck and oh god, what is her name?
Rosamund Pike.
Rosamund Pike, who I actually really like as an actress. Like she's
No,
pretty good
she's
in all.
great.
She's great. She's pretty good. Like, she's great in all the roles she does, especially the Doom movie. It was great. Anyway, um, it's actually a
Uh,
really good movie, and in
it's
this,
gonna sound gay to me, but Pride and Prejudice.
no,
She's the
okay,
sister.
valid,
Yeah,
valid.
she's really good in that.
But like, and also there is this specific kind of insanity that I think you only really get in wealthy white families. And you might understand what I'm putting down here. You guys might pick this up, but it's like a kind of like sociopathic detachment where you're family, but it's also like there's just everybody's got like a weird grudge. And of course, there's money involved, so that allows people to live very comfortably and like hide behind the comfort and not really process
Northern
emotions.
Europeans invented the hallway
Yeah,
so
yeah,
they
dude.
don't have to interact with their family members when moving around their house. I'm not
Exactly.
kidding.
No,
The
that's
hallway was not
exactly.
invented until by upper aristocratic like
But that's
English people in like
kind
the
of
1800s.
it's kind of what it is, because she just doesn't really put up with what her husband does and enacts this plan, and it's very much like, I was meant for more than this. You're wasting your potential and mine. I'm gonna make you pay for it, sort of thing, in like a very waspy way. Also the best way I can put it. Like it's very there's a lovely wasp undertone to the whole thing. But you and your wife should watch it. I think you guys would both enjoy it. In fact, it would surprise me if she hasn't seen it.
I think maybe she has.
Maybe, but you'd be like, honey, we should. My
Yeah.
podcast, Ben says we should watch Gone Girl. Do you want to watch it? And just she'd be like, oh my god, yes. But um, that's kind of what it reminds me of a little bit, except for in the movie she doesn't kill any kids. Like that, the clear distinction there. She does kill Neil Patrick Harris, which I applauded, but Sorry.
I liked him in Starship Troopers.
I did too. He was also great in was it Harold and Kumar? He basically plays himself in Harold and Kumar.
Yeah, he plays a fictional version of himself.
Yeah.
It's
It's like the
not.
Wayne Brady on Chappelle Show version of Wayne Brady.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But that's with like the Lindsay Clancy thing. The case itself is sad enough, but all of the primarily women, I have to say, it is primarily women online on TikTok inventing all of these conspiracy theories about how she's innocent and the husband framed it. A lot of it is being sensationalized as part of the gender war slop bullshit. But there is a strong, how should I phrase this? These women are doing a really wonderful job of making a case for people who want to abolish the 19th Amendment, which isn't me. But
I just think like the 19th Amendment shouldn't have been necessary
yeah,
in a sense. Like it like it should have just been like, well, obviously, like we're just not abridging, or like it was state laws that dictated voting
yeah,
rights for the most part, and like by just making it so explicit in the Constitution, like you've set up this case that that there's everything else is only a men's right
mhm.
for some reason. I think that's one of the consequences they didn't think about.
Yeah.
Maybe, I'm not sure.
But I have seen a lot of people making jokes about like this is why we need to repeal the 19th Amendment. And it's getting to the point where it's not just a joke for a lot of people. Like they're seriously like, okay, no more 19th Amendment, which is scary in and of itself that that's just being like openly talked about. But when you look at this shit, it's really hard not to go, well, maybe we should hear him out. Like, I'm not saying either way, but maybe we should hear him out.
Well, as I said, I don't support repealing the 19th because I don't think women should vote. I just think it's like legally unnecessary and pointless. If anything, like the 19th Amendment should have also included a clause that like all federal offices are open to women too, because like there's explicitly a gender clause and clause in the presidency, and it's like they don't talk about or like the use of gendered language means like persons versus people versus men or something like that. Whereas you could easily make the argument that just men just means everyone. That's fine. We're all humans.
We're all humans.
You are a member of mankind. You're not. You don't have. That's how English works. Yes. I'm sorry.
Well, listen, Max. I don't know about you, but I'm less interested about hearing about history, and I want to hear more about herstory.
But the flip side to this is that I also I support repealing the 19th for all those other reasons, not because it gives women the right to vote.
Exactly.
But I also support severely restricting the right to vote for most people, regardless of sex.
Like if you're online making the argument that like XYZ could not have happened because of astrological signs, and it's something other than like, oh, I'm feeling kind of moody today, Mercury must be in retrograde. That's like borderline. If you're just out here like, yeah, Leos don't kill their kids, so there's no way she murdered this person, she's innocent. Like, I think that should be a hard disqualifier right there.
I do not want you to participate in allocation of the Commonwealth and national defense.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, it's above your pay grade.
It's
go home.
It's for you. This is an Apollo program, and like you're just gonna fuck it up. Like that's we don't need you. Doesn't mean you shouldn't be allowed to live, or that you shouldn't have basic rights. But like, if you're into astrology, no. If you shit, I don't know.
Well, okay, with the property tax laws that used to be all across the colonies, were the poll tax laws, where that like you basically had to show up with proof that you had like $50 net worth.
Mhm.
This is back in the 1800s, so it's
Yeah.
like $10,000 basically. And I'm like, okay, this should be part of voter registration to this day. You have to go to your bank, and they print out some special form when you go register to vote, that says like, oh, this person has, uh, 4-figure or yeah, 5-figure liquid cash worth. Um, they can they have their shit together enough that they can actually make decisions for other people.
Mhm.
They're a responsible party, because voting used to be a office held by people. It wasn't for everyone. It wasn't just the default. Being a voter is actually a form of office in the uh, a Republican
Mhm.
government.
It's literally a
That
civic duty,
uh,
like not in a
and
metaphorical sense.
yeah, it's actually a tier above just a citizen or anything like
Mhm.
that, that they have responsibilities and
Mhm.
obligations
So,
above and beyond that of children, for example,
mhm.
or people who just, yeah, again, like don't have their shit together. Like, yeah, I know maybe you're in a bad decision and we still care about you and you still will get a jury trial,
Mhm.
and we will not violate your right to own and purchase weapons or
Mhm.
something like that.
Bodily
But
autonomy, or like right against search and seizure, right against
but like
self-incrimination.
the idea that, yeah, all those things,
Yeah.
you still 100% have all of those rights just because you don't have the right to vote.
Yes.
And it's really interesting that it's really only in the last like 100 years, again, with it's the same with like prisons and stuff like that, that we have universal suffrage at
Mhm.
all. It used to be only like 10-15% of the population could vote.
Mhm.
And you could see it when like in political debates, and in like if you like have the reading level of like Senate debates from the 1800s versus today. It's like, oh, these are all people who actually went to and graduated law school and are having sophisticated arguments morally, ethically, religiously about very complicated topics. And like nowadays, it's very disrespectful with their man tits hanging out, in the
Nipples
blue shirt
exposed.
guy, nipples exposed. What is
Barney
that?
Frank. That was Barney Frank.
Oh yeah, the Dodd-Frank Act, right?
Yep. Yep.
Which fucked up our financial markets because they don't know anything. They're all idiots, and the
Yeah.
people electing them are idiots too.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I mean, I did make the joke this morning that we should go back to like being like voting should be like if you're a white Protestant racist landowner, you get to vote.
Um, Liberal democracy for 130 IQ. Um, yeah, I would was what was I'm looking for the acronym. It's like affluent white liberal females. Or that's awful. That's no.
Off.
I'm not thinking of the right one. Anyways, like, yeah, democracy for like 130 IQ plus. That's
Yeah,
we I
that's
mean,
fair.
I was writing that series for Frankly about like the history of like republics and democracies, and it's just like literally like these were always like basically a warrior caste, or you had to be the state was a function of common defense
Hmm.
or something like that. And so in order to participate in its function, even in like these were nominally monarchies, like uh most people actually had more representation in feudal systems than they do today. Because it's like, what we got, oh, I can call my rep, I'm one of 550,000 equally important voters.
I could petition the king directly for my woes, and he would hear me out honestly. It was my right as a subject of the king, and the king it was his duty.
Let's look up, what was the population of England in 1200? 3.3 to 3.4 million people.
Hmm.
And 1086 is about 1.5. But no, like legitimately, most people would be better represented by the king in 1200 than their senator today.
Yeah.
Or, I mean, their congressperson's a little bit better, but it's like, imagine if all the population of England elected one. Okay, so let's say it's 3 million, and we're going to do 500,000 per house district. Okay, 6 people.
Sorry.
And that makes them a democracy.
Yeah.
There's 6. The people of England in 1200 elected 6 people to a governing council, and that makes them a democracy. Because America's a democracy, and that's what our representation's like.
Exactly. What I was going to say though is back then they didn't have to deal with APEC.
Ever thought about? I wonder if like liberals ever thought about it that way, about how fucked up our democracy is compared to just because like think about how many people are under the king, and they get that whole government for 3 billion people.
Yeah,
like, you get all the dukes, you get all the clergy, you get all the counts and the barons, and you got the House of Lords and the House of Commons, and you got your local sheriff, constable, all this stuff.
Not a big population.
Anyway.
We should wrap it. Yeah.
Yeah, let's wrap here.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to bring up? Anything you want to mention about anything we discussed tonight? Word. Okay. I mean, next episode we'll probably, go back to covering other world events. The Hormuz situation ship is still an ongoing thing. Maybe there'll be some other developments in certain criminal cases like the Clancy case or the Robinson case. And maybe we'll actually have a week where nothing happens. Maybe we'll get our mojo back and we'll actually go back to preventing happenings. One thing I did want to mention, so not next week, week after, first week of September, I think it would be the 2nd, September 2nd for us, that Wednesday, I will be visiting my family in New York, so I will not be around. Yeah. But next week, still good, and week after, the week after, probably still good. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you again for joining us this evening. Yeah, it was a good time. We actually kind of had a mostly focused topic. I did kind of go off on Jared. Oh, fuck. I'll have to edit that out later. I'll have to go went a little bit of a topic about work stuff. You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, I'm not editing it out. I don't care anymore. All 7 of you who watch this show regularly might be able to decipher where I work if you haven't already. I don't care. But yeah, we mostly stayed on topic, at least for the back hour. But yeah, thank you guys for joining us. We of course love having you. Love the participation in the chat. Missile Launch, love you. Saint Luck, love you. Death Gelada, love you. We hope you guys stay safe. We hope you have a good week. We hope the end of August goes well for you. And as always, taxation is theft.